The two have been thickest down to 6 mil, and I have beveled each of them accordingly right along every hole. The thing I should have done is confirmed which way it went. Like, you'll notice this might have a bit of a rock in it, which means that it's probably have a bit of a bow. So ideally you should probably work on the sides, which will best minimise the bow. But look, this to me is just a demo of how you can do it without a laser, and therefore I'm not going to pay too much attention. This one seems quite flat, so we'll use that one to try it out. Now this is the first time I'm going to put this in. I'll just use these loose dogs, and I'll go this way, not that it matters. Use these loose dogs. That one fits, that one fits, that goes okay, and as you can see, this is why that UJK path system is so great, because it holds on to it. However, still, when you've got this, even with this setup, and I'll go into how you can actually make your own dogs, although unfortunately, you can make your own dog. The problem still is that if you've got a board, let's see, say something like this, which is higher than 6 mil, if you push hard against it, see how that actually moves? What on my table, now not everybody's going to have this set up, there's this rubber strips. As you push against that, it will tend to compress that rubber strip, and it might make it rock, if you look at it that way, that 1 or 2 degree. I don't like that. And that's one of the reasons why I've opted for this option of using these UJK, that's TSO, where's the other one? Oh, look, here's another one. TSO dogs. In there, where's my drill? There we go. Notice I couldn't tighten it up, and I will try and explain why. I'll take these out, and you'll know, well, you don't notice, but the TSO dogs have got a minimum of 30 mil and a maximum of 40 mil thick work area. So you've got a 10 mil play area. And this tabletop is roughly either 18 or 19 mil, depending on what cheapskate I bought my timber off. And this is supposed to be 6 mil. So you're looking at 25 mil, which is outside the 30 mil range. Now I'll grab my mini workbench and I'll make sure I know what orientation you guys can see. So if I lift this up just a fraction, as long as I stick to the 2 middle rows this way, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Now basically a TSO is designed to fit, as I say, is really predominantly designed to fit through 2 19 mil stuff. So when you put that through, design flaw in my mini workbench, because it's not, I haven't made it high enough to accept the bottom of these TSO dogs. Now hang on, where are we? Yep, you can see it. The bottom of the TSO dogs. So what I'd have to do, if I, although I normally wouldn't use these TSO dogs on this, I'd use conventional dogs. Or if I did use these dogs, it'd be to hold a, no, it still wouldn't work. What am I talking about? Shut up, Alex. Oh no, it might work if I actually, in fact I think it will work. Hang on, let's see. Yeah, it'll work with that. It won't work with my dog fences. But the whole idea is you turn it on and you'll find it bottoms out and locks. Not a problem. But when you haven't got the thickness, it just won't lock. I'll demonstrate it. Well, I'll put on a pair of my fences. Hang on. You'll have to excuse me because some of my props are out of place, only because while I was shooting the videos, I actually asked about and I actually turned the video on when I was setting up, and when I was actually hoping to film it, I turned the bloody thing off, and that went backwards and forwards, so I have to reshoot. And because of that, things are set up the way I had them before. Assuming we've got these dogs, and again this wouldn't be here, it'd be this normal tabletop, and you put these in. Oh, come on. No, normally you wouldn't have this. Oh, come on. God, I'm making this look bloody difficult. You put it down there. The best way to put these dogs in is to spin them clockwise. And that'll park. If you spin them clockwise, if you've got that, that's in the lock position, that plug. If you spin it clockwise, it'll go into the park position and then you can push it through. As you can see here, these won't go down far enough onto the table because I haven't allowed for the height. The way to compensate that, that's about, we're looking at roughly 3 or 4 mil. So what I've got to do is pack out these dogs, or these cookies, under here by 3 or 4 mil. Not an issue. But to overcome this, what I've done is I've made a swag of these, or not made, I cut, laser cut, a swag of these, what I call spacers, 3 mil and 6 mil. And I've laminated them in various thicknesses, so I can then use them as the appropriate packer as required. Now this one, I think I'd get away with a 6 mil, but look, I'll go the 12 mil packer, or sorry, 12 mil packer, which is 2 6s, and I'll need 2 of those. So, flipping them over, you just thread these on, and as you can see there, that's a 6 mil. That's not going to work. Idiot! There's a 12 mil. Jesus. Oh, I've got a swag of them and I always keep picking up the wrong one. Here we go. Put on the that, and as you can see, it covers or goes over that 30 mil limit. So yeah, even a 6 mil would have done. In fact, look, I'll just to prove my point, I'll use a 6 mil. and put that on. Then you grab your drill. Sorry, this is not doing much justice here, but there you can see it, and you now have that in place. Now, for the demonstration purposes of these videos, I'm not going to put these under it, other than the fact the first time I'll do it, just to show to you that you don't get the rocking anymore. So let's take this off. The only problem with these spacers is when you take those out, on a normal tabletop, when I say normal, that'd be sort of like this tabletop here, those things that fall down unless you go out of your way to catch them as you're taking this off. Like you see, this one has fallen down. And look, all I can say is please forgive me, I'm still battling with this dodgy left hand, and my right thumb hasn't been really fully functional for about 15 years because I tried to chop it off. Now, right, let's now TSO dog these down so we can now make that other comparison that I did with when I did the push there. Okay, look, I'll lock it down here. Come here. And I'll slap one of these under it. As I say, that is the thing I don't like about this now, is because it does require manual intervention. Lock that up. That's locked up good and tight, and I'll do it on this one. And again, if you have a bow, you can take the bow out by locking it down, and by doing it this way, what you are doing, rightly or wrongly, you're now compressing this rubber. So it is flush with the, although it isn't there, but again, bear in mind that this is soft pine and it's going to bend. Alright, you put another dog in if you have to. Right, from now on, if you, oh God, this is getting messy. We've got the timber, as you can see, there's no deflection whatsoever. Covers it, and the beauty of it is you can zip your plane over that and you're not going to hit a dog. And that's it. Now, the other thing too is, hopefully, look, I'll do it with, no, I'll use my, these ones, only because, oh look, why, I can use these, there's no reason why I can't. Now, I didn't actually, bear in mind that when I took those measurements from end to end, I based them on my MDF. This is designed, look, I'll show you on these rather than these. This is why the laser is great, because the measurements are quite critical. Okay, I'll now try and demonstrate the setup of these dog fences. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm not going to use these dogs, only because they're not so much harder, but to keep the video short, these are easier to put in, pull out, but assume that instead of these, I'd be using these, and unfortunately, if I use those, I would have to get under the table and thread these through, and once I've got it under there, it's a matter of tightening, but I've got to actually manually reach under there to put them through like that. Once they're there, they're tight enough to hold on, and then you can do them on. But anyway, that's my little disclaimer. Now, assuming you've got this dog, I've deliberately set it up this way, that goes in there. As you say, you know, the beauty of this is you don't have to think. They will automatically, with this UKJ path system and combined with the MFT style, they fit perfect. Over here, this distance is so designed that it just nearly butts onto it. With the accuracy of the laser, I could actually butt onto it, but I give it about a mil clearance. That goes in there. There's no dog hole there. That's why I'm using a 3-gang. I can't use a 2-gang there because there's no hole. But the beauty, when you consider the design, this other end is so designed that it butts onto that. Now look, I can use these for all it's worth. I'll show you these. You can use these, which is the UKJ path connector. They're designed, I think you might have seen it when I was doing the how you do it with non-laser way. You can actually use these as hold downs here. They're flush, they don't stick up like these. However, they don't lock the fence down to the tabletop, so they're still subject to any type of sideways movement. And again, I say I get the sideways movement because I've got these rubber strips here. The rubber strips are there so that if I don't use dogs or fences, the timber will tend, and that's all I can say, tend not to slip for sanding purposes, and they're really great. If you put a non-slip mat on, you naturally can't get at your dog. This is sort of like the best of both worlds. However, having said that, with the rubber strips, they do lift the timber off the tabletop by about a mil, and because of that, if you put sideways pressure on that, it could potentially depress. As you can see, it's rocking, or you might, I don't know whether you can see it or not. Is the camera still on? Yeah. But if I locked them down with the TSO dogs, you wouldn't get that. But anyway, that just, by the way, I'll show you something else about these later. But the beauty of these are, I can now butt the two together like that, end on end, and although that looks more like a 2 mil gap, it was supposed to be a 1 mil gap, rather than go shorten it by 0.5 mil, I might have did it by 1 mil. But look, it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't have to match at all. They've just got to be parallel, which they are. So I'm quite happy with that. That doesn't worry me. Now, the problem with this setup, or if you can call it a problem, is you need 4 dogs. However, to overcome that, I've actually made, I'll take these out, a couple of 2-ganger and 3-ganger corners. When I say ganger, number of holes. So that's a 3-ganger, 3 holes, 2-ganger. I've got these 3 holes and 2 holes. Naturally, the 2-hole won't go there too well because there's no hole to hook onto. On there you could, but on there you can't. So I'll use the 3 to demo. Now for the 3, you really only need two dogs, because that's now sufficient to hold that. Again, bear in mind we'd be using these. Don't ask me why, don't ask. You might want to lift the fence up. There's no reason why you can't jack up, sorry, I'll go this way. You can't jack up the fence by 6 mil or even 9 mil. I don't know why you'd want to do 9 mil, because if you did 9 mil, you'd be back up to your standard 18 mil stuff. But if you decide to jack it up, the problem is that bottom corner is no longer supported. So for that, you will need another dog, so if you have it in this configuration, you actually do need 3 dogs. But then, well, you wouldn't use it for that, but for a bigger piece of timber, and you might, as I said, you might just want to have it higher up than supporting it right down the bottom. And again, bear in mind that these would be the flat TSO dogs in there. They wouldn't be sticking up like that, so you can actually run a plane without any fear of running over it. Now, let's get out of there, put that aside. One final thing, I did think I mentioned to you that I can make you can make your own dogs. Put that aside, somewhere there. Now, I used to use these, which I showed you how you needed on the UJK path system to anchor the 3mm pins. And what I've done is I've actually bought a swag of these, not deliberately, by accident. I placed a couple of wrong orders, and it was TSO I think I bought them off. They were so efficient, they already packed and shipped it before I could cancel the order. And I did, and I finished up ordering about probably 12 more than I needed, put it that way. But anyway, I thought they'd be ideal for plugging up these holes to stop small things from falling down. The problem is that I've got so many holes, and they cost roughly, I think they're just under $30 for 3, so let's just say $10 each. It has cost me a bloody fortune to plug up the holes and in all my other MFT style tabletops. So what I did was I bought this 20mm plug cutter. It's a beautiful piece. It's a Fisher plug cutter, actually razor sharp edges. It does an absolute beautiful job. It can make 80mm length plugs, and believe me, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money trying to make 20mm dowels, not plugs, dowels. And 80mm plugs are getting close to dowel requirement, at least for the MFT style benches. So what I started doing is making these 20mm, can you see what I'm pushing down there? These dowels, and I started using them to plug up holes instead of these. And then I thought to myself, well, hang on. Now, admittedly, if you want to use these as sort of dogs, dogs type of thing, you can make yourself a 30mm piece of plug, or with a hole saw, and cut a 20mm hole in it. And what I can do is knock that in. Where's my hammer? And there you have a beautiful dog. The problem with homemade ones, you see, I did this on the laser, and that is a perfect circle, 30mm, with a perfect 20mm in the perfect centre. The chances of you doing that with conventional tools, of getting that perfectly centred, is very slight. And the problem is, if you've got one dowel, one plug there, and let's just say it's not perfectly centred, you've got another one there that might be twisted that way. The difference between the middle of the 20mm dowel and the outer perimeter might differ between the two, whereby you'd be losing your perfect 90 degrees. And because of that, I don't necessarily recommend them for standalone dogs. However, if you can make them, you don't have to be worried about a perfect circle. In fact, that can even be a square or a rectangle, but use them as hold downs for your dog fence. And when you look at it this way, that's your other option, right? Compared to that, you're looking at 3 mil difference, so you're getting an option of 3 mil extra, extra, and that's if you want to go on the cheap side, but you do have to buy that. However, another alternative is making your plugs and just using them as glued in dog holes there. The only thing I do recommend is when you glue it into it, you put the two together, line them up this way, and then glue it, let the glue set, rather than glue them up and hope you've got it perpendicular, because just hammering it in like that does not necessarily make it 100% perpendicular. You've got to actually put it in there, put the other one in there, then glue it, and hope to God you don't glue it to your tabletop. But that's the cheap way out. And if you have, but bear in mind, if you do it that way, you haven't got the hold down. And again, on my, although these actually have got greater tolerances than these, because these still have that, actually not so, I can demonstrate better with this. You can see how that sort of rocks. It rocks in every hole, so because I think these, they're not quite 20 mil, and they're not so bad. Yeah, no. You see, yeah, and that's why I don't like these. You can see when you push against it, I'm pushing at the top. If you push down the bottom, it mightn't be so bad. And there you have it. So straight away, you know, you're potentially jeopardising the integrity of your, pardon me, 90 degrees if you go the other way. That's one of the reasons, for all it's worth. God, I'm ranting and raving now. I wanted to keep this short. One of the reasons why I go for these UJK Super Dogs, because when you put them in, they still rock, as you can see. However, when you tighten it, there's a rubber washer in there that expands, and it expands equally, so it will actually center it on that hole. There's no rock, and hopefully, as it's centered, it will keep that at 90 degrees. And these also have that little collar on them, which will stop them from going further down. But yeah, it sits beautifully in that chamfer. So yeah, these are the options. As I said, I like those, but for hold downs, I do love these. And look, they are not cheap. However, how many times do you use clamps like this to hold stuff, to hold other bases that you mount machinery on to your tabletop, and then these get in your way, or the bottom of the clamp stops you from opening your drawers and all that. This does not, because they're just, well, anyway, I'm not here to sell these. I'm here to tell you what you can do with them